Great. So welcome everybody. We're doing these every second Monday, once a month, the chapter roundtables. And maybe we can start by taking turns and introducing ourselves. And if you could, oh, I'm sorry. That's what
I'll
happens
begin.
when I have the screen open. Okay, so if you could introduce your name, the name of your chapter, how many members you have, how long you've been active, and how many members, I think. That would be great. So my name is Ben. I've been involved with e-NABLE the last 2 years. I've been working with Rochester e-NABLE with John Scholl. There's only a handful of members these days, but we're in Rochester, New York. And how long has Rochester e-NABLE been around for, John?
At this point, I guess it's 5 years.
Great. So I'll pass it to Ashley.
Should unmute myself first. I'm Ashley. I am the chapter lead of HOPE, which is basically University of South Carolina. It's a student organization slash small company, nonprofit that we started. And we've been around since, I think, about 2017, maybe 18. Sometimes I get those dates. Our membership is sort of down right now. We're about 8 folks, but we're usually somewhere around 20 folks average.
And who are you going to pass the torch to, Ashley?
Oh, well, let's see. Kevin is next on my screen.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Kevin. I'm actually an intern with e-NABLE, and I'm going to be focusing on making it easier to onboard and become an active member of e-NABLE in general. I guess I'll pass it on to Allie then.
Hi, everyone. I am also an e-NABLE intern. Kevin and I are both in the Brandeis MBA program. I'm the event planning consultant intern, and I'm helping e-NABLE kind of create some templates for future events, create events in general, work on marketing material, kind of just like organizing all of that material. And we got started around 2 weeks ago. So I'll be working with e-NABLE through December.
And the torch goes to?
Sorry, let's see. Who didn't introduce themselves? Madison?
Yeah, sure, I'll go. Hi, guys. I'm Madison. I am the chapter leader / president of e-NABLE DC. So this chapter has been around since 2017 as well. It was originally called e-NABLE Onenton. By the founder was Richard Hodgkin. I might be pronouncing his last name wrong, but he moved to Hawaii, and then I kind of adopted the chapter, and then rebranded it as e-NABLE DC, as our volunteers kind of encompass the DMV area. So we have volunteers from Washington, DC, Virginia, and Maryland. And as of now, we have about 10 to 15 volunteers, but it kind of fluctuates just depending on people's availability and whatnot. Yeah, I guess I'm passing it to Robotel. I think you just joined.
Zainab, welcome. You gotta unmute.
I don't know who spoke, so you'll help me with the next torch. Sorry, I'm late. Joining in from Robotel, which is the Turkish chapter, countrywide chapter of e-NABLE. We have approximately 3,000 volunteers. We've done more than 120 hands, more than 120 kids, approximately, I think more than 150 hands and so forth. And we're working on many projects at the same time, mostly corporate sponsorship projects at the moment. And my name is Zeynep.
And Zeynep, you should pass the torch to Alexander.
Okay, go, Alexander.
Wait, what? I just joined. What happened?
Just
You're
introducing ourselves,
yourself in not
Alexander.
more than 2 sentences.
Just your chapter name and location, the number of members, and how long your chapter has been active.
None, and none. I've been with e-NABLE since the beginning of this year, and I'm one of the CAD engineers working on the hub.
Good.
Nice to
And-
meet everybody.
Nice to meet you.
Actually,
now, you
if,
should pass the torch to Theo, who will then
Right.
tell us not only about himself, but about his new website.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry. I'm Tirion. I'm a co-founder and current president of e-NABLE in France. We have been operating since late 2015. We have roughly 800 recipients and 800 makers, 400 of them being validated and certified. And we have built something around 200 devices, maybe a bit more now. And well, I'm not sure how you want to organize this, Ben. What happens is we began in 2015 with a very simple website that we built ourselves. And we have just now launched a Bob new version with a number of functionalities that I hope we will be able to share with the community by making it available as a kit that can be deployed on any server anywhere. Still a lot of work to do, but we are going to work with you guys on the documenting all that, because writing documentation is always a pain, and we are not very good at that.
Right. So the documentation could be something that involves chapters in the US. It could be something that involves a Lumia proposal. It could be something that we post on the hub. But the website, Thierry, maybe you could talk a little bit about some of the features with matching device users to some of your volunteers. And I don't know if you want to share your screen. This is an extension of a series of meetings that Zainab, John, Jeremy, Thierry, and I had, looking at some ways that we can be sharing chapter resources, things that chapters are developing for themselves. Sometimes they can be shared as sort of an open source toolkit. So this was something that Thierry's been working on all summer with his team in France.
I cannot share my screen right now, but because I'm not authorized to, but if you give me the authorization, I will do it.
Okay, you are now co-host.
Okay.
You can do it in the screen sharing permissions, Ben, just under advanced sharing options.
Okay.
Probably this one. I have to change some system preferences.
Sure.
One second.
So we'll start with this this demo from Thierry, and we'll talk a little bit about maybe some other shared tools that we have, some things that we're using, and maybe some challenges that we have in terms of matching with volunteers and device users. And then afterwards, maybe we can just sort of open it up and go around and talk about a couple of things. Here's the new website.
Okay, so first of all, it is multilingual, because our first website was in French, of course, and only in French. So now you have the two basic languages, French for us, of course, and English, but other languages can be added as required. And so that was one major part. The website is mostly operated from the front end, and the page show different things based on if you are not logged, if you are logged as a normal user, or if you are logged as an administrator. So you don't have the same content displayed. The website, of course, provides all the basic information about us, what we do, and so on, and provide a number of functionalities because we are very lazy and we hate working too much. So provide basic functionalities to do the matching and to handle the network. So first thing is when you go to the profile of the person, they can request a device. So as soon as they are logged in, they can access their profile, and from there, they can request a device, they can submit a test hand, and they can ask to be promoted as an active member, which they are not by default.
And Tirion, do you mind switching it to English?
Sure.
Great. Awesome.
Sure. And it works. It's not just a dummy button, it works.
That's nice, yeah.
Looks great.
It's nice
So-
that you're, it's nice that the little pop-up help desk is still in French, so we can learn a little French as we go when you hover.
Oh yeah, it is. It is. I didn't notice that.
Yeah, that's nice.
I have to translate that. And then you have the classical profile.
Great.
And for each person, you have all the, if the person is a maker, you have the list of all the devices that person has made in the past.
And again, this is the admin end. So this would be something that only the chapter leaders and team would have access to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All these buttons are available to everyone that is logged, but these functions will only be displayed when relevant. But anyone can request a test hand. In our previous version, we had a clear distinction between recipient and maker, but we've had a few occurrences of people that were both at the same time, and that led to problems. So we have chosen to allow anyone to request a device, even if they are maker or registered as a maker.
Good thing.
How do you do your test hands, Thierry? When they submit a test hand, are they submitting a photos and video, or are they actually sending you a device?
No, they keep the device and they send 6 photos from the 6 sides and a video showing the device working.
Very nice.
And that is enough for us to judge the quality of the making and the safety of the device. And there is a craft menu here with this section is quite large, actually. It contains all the informations about how to build a test hand, how to use OpenSCAD, pre-validation, self-validation beforehand, before to submit, then how we do the matching, then how we do the assembly of the basic Phoenix hand, how we do the assembly of the unlimited, and so on. So it contains quite a lot of information.
Mm-hmm.
If you could click on one of those, I'm curious. If you go down to, let's say, the unlimited, or even the scaling, I'm curious. That would be a good place to start. The scaling under matching, yeah. So you click on this, and then it's a series of pages. So it's like a guide.
Yeah.
Page by page.
And it can be expanded as well.
That's great.
Okay, so this is the main information area for our makers. And again, we are lazy, so we like to be able to say, go first to the website, explore the website. Then after that, if you still have questions, we'll answer them, of course, with a smile, but we try to put all the information there. So it becomes a kind of reference. The main functionality of the website, besides what we have now in the profile for requesting a device, submitting a test hand, and apply to become an active member, is here. We have a map. It takes a while to load because it loads more information because I am an administrator. And this map is fully dynamic. So it self-maintains itself, and it contains a list of all the makers, the validated makers, the non-validated makers, and all the devices that were provided, that we are currently working on, and that are still to match. So for example, if I click here on the red dot, I get the information about the kid. He's 8 years old. I get the main information, phone number, email address, and I can access the photos of the kid. And maybe comments and so on. And then having all the information located in one place is very efficient to do the matching. So I can then find the makers around. By zooming, for example, I can see I have a number of makers around. I can contact them by phone or via mail to see if they are available. And if they are available, I can just click on match here. It will display, I can match one case with up to 6 makers. It will display a list of all the makers by proximity, sorted by proximity. So it will display first the closest makers in kilometers. And then I can choose.
These are validated makers or both validated?
Only validated.
Great.
And then I can choose the maker. And if I click on, I can add comments. And if I click on record, it will do the matching in the database, and it will send the emails to the maker, to the recipient, so they can get in touch. So it's fully automatic. And of course, once I'm not going to do it, but if I click on an orange dot that corresponds to a project currently being held, you see we have 3 makers here for this kid working simultaneously, working together, because it's not an easy case. And we need to think and to work as a team to do that. But I can still change the team if for some reason a maker cannot make it anymore. I can add a new maker, I can remove an old one, and so on.
I've got a question for you, Thierry. I know in e-NABLE Web Central, there's these roles that different people identify with. Do you, in your team making, identify different roles, or?
Yes and no. We are just beginning. We have just included on the registration form on the website that kind of information. We didn't have that before. So it is going to be filled. For example, if I go to my profile, you see my competencies, it's there. So if I go to edit my profile, this is it. So these are all the I don't know how you say the competence. How do you say that in English?
Competencies.
Skills.
Yeah, competencies, okay. Skills. Very good.
Skills, yeah. That will allow us to be able to search for specific skills when needed.
Nice.
But unfortunately, we have already 3,000 persons registered, but this is all empty.
Yeah. It's a wonderful toolkit.
So the idea was to be able to make a huge zip file with the database structure empty, and it's all running on WordPress. Okay, so the back office is WordPress and PHP code. So, but we should be able to drop in a zip file all the files for the website, for the WordPress, and the database is empty. And with the right documentation, once it will exist, any e-NABLE chapter should be able to reuse it for their own purpose.
That's
Fantastic.
wonderful. And your
And
developer,
it seems really well organized, and you've hidden a lot of complexity. It's really nice.
So now I have a question. This is really nice work, Thierry. I do have a WordPress, sort of a managed WordPress hosting already set up where I can host up to 10 different sites, and I'm only using 8. So I actually could very easily spin up a copy of this for testing on our end when you're ready to share it with us. Now you're still doing work on this. Like, for example, you're still working on maybe some of the translation stuff. Any other further, after you share it with us, then you go and make further updates. How do we get the benefit of that? Like, would we be able to update our code?
I think in terms of functionalities, the site contains anything we need. But what I was about to suggest is maybe you guys should have a go at deploying it once first, and maybe tweak it as you feel before to redistribute it.
Yeah.
And maybe you have the knowledge, time, and skills to do a GitHub or whatever to allow for forking the website, and maybe you want to handle the future evolution of that,
Yeah,
which
GitHub
is very fine by me because I don't have the resources to do that.
Yeah.
Quick question. The developer that worked on this project, is he multilingual? Is he more comfortable in French? Okay. So
he's in Belgium, and he probably speaks Belgian, but and French, but I don't think his English is extremely fluent.
Okay. So in terms of the documentation, it probably would be a good idea for us to see if either we can find a volunteer who speaks French and English, or somebody that could easily communicate with him, because a lot of the
I can do the interface.
Okay, great.
Excellent.
I won't have the time to write the documentation myself, but I can be used as an interface between your guy and our developer.
Cool.
When necessary.
So as soon as you're comfortable sharing a copy, Thierry, if you could send that my way, or
Yeah.
you know where I can access.
Let me show you a bit of the. I've shown you basically what the front office does.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Let me disconnect and show you the registration form.
Great.
Okay.
And it does sound like for Zainab, if she also got a copy of this, a big part would just be translating. The neat thing though is that the more people that use it, the more languages that could be available within this package. So, you know, adding Turkish to it.
Can I just say that, Theo, you did a great job. I love what you've done with the sites, and I think as far as the user interface and the information goes, it's one big nice package. And can I ask, when we move forward with sharing this and changing and tweaking or improving it, whatever we do, let's keep it at least bilingual, so we can use the English as well in every country, in every chapter. That is always there, and then we can add and translate our parts, our languages instead of French, and maybe we can further in the future use other languages in our own multi-language things in our own chapters as well.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing this so that other people, we can share the code, and other chapters might choose to have their own copy, and it might go that way. Personally, I would love to see us figure out how to get one kind of big centralized deployment and just add to the languages so that we have more and more and more languages in there, and have all of our different regions using the same instance, because that way it's all in one database. You have a global view of all the cases and everything. That may or may not happen, but at least we can test that out and start to experiment with that.
Well, I wonder whether, so we're not imagining that every chapter would adopt this, but we're imagining that the major hubs would adopt it, right?
Well, if they want.
If they want, yeah.
If they want, that's right.
And I guess in terms of the data, Thierry, the way that you set it up, like obviously the EU has much more stringent data, I think, these days than the US or some other countries.
A lot of data privacy requirements.
Yeah, so you'd have your own data. And then it would be something where, let's say there was a few groups that were using a similar platform, like Zynap and, let's say one in the US, people could be sharing updates with some information, but not all the information. Is there an easy way for exporting that? Or is it just going into the spreadsheet and sort of pumping out sort of a report? Or is there something in there for sort of,
well, ideally, we're not going to want that to be manual. I mean, our long-term goal would be, if we're going to have a bunch of different deployments with different databases, it would be nice if there was some kind of a scripted method of sharing just high-level statistical data. How many cases have been completed, average time to completion, just things like that that are non, privacy, concerns. But if we could somehow centralize that high-level data in this, like a reporting dashboard, that would be kind of the long-term goal.
So can I summarize, and can you guys just check if this is true? We can go either way. We can go one big central website as an improvement away from where we go from here. And if we go that way, we have to solve our data sharing policies and all that legal issues. In addition,
there will be legal issues. Yeah.
Yes, there will be a lot of legal issues here in Turkey too. We can't store any information in other countries for the time being at all.
Yeah.
So that would be a challenge. In addition to normal user interface and language challenges.
Yeah.
Or we can look at it, improve it, and whatever we do, deploy it in local hubs.
Yeah.
So I wonder,
that
would
would bring up the challenge of these hubs talking to each other.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Would it be possible, and this might be a question for Tirion as developer, might it be possible for us to have a centralized front end where we could build on the languages and not have to do that in many different places, but have one instance that has all the different languages that we keep adding to, but the database maybe could be separate by region. Each region has their own database that the front end, is that kind of thing a possibility?
I don't know.
I don't either.
I don't know at all.
So,
and maybe that's something to look
I see
later.
two main difficulties. The first one being indeed legal, because each country has its own, and I know that our data, we are not allowed to store it in the US, for example. And the second is that all chapters might not have the same processes. So I know that you, Zynap, you don't work the same way as I do in France. So I totally don't know how you will be able to adapt the website to your usage. you see?
Yeah.
So what I think is maybe, Jeremy, if you can set up and make available for the global community a US website, probably all the small chapters would be very pleased to use it, because it would avoid them the hassle of doing and maintaining that. But probably the bigger chapters, or when there are legal issues that cannot be solved, then they would want to deploy it locally.
Absolutely. And I think that's perfectly fine, but I do think we should think about, once we have, say, a dozen different installments or in different countries, how can we bring the high level data together? Nothing detailed, but just the statistical data. How can we gather that together and centralize that? We don't have to solve that today, because the benefit here is that if we can encourage different chapters to make use of your platform, at least they're all on a standard database structure, and it should be much easier later then to bring that data together, because everyone's data is organized in a very similar way.
John, looks like John's got a.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, I think that's right, that we don't have to solve all of this, but I think there is a staging question. We initially got onto this project because Zeynep said she had an immediate wish to adopt Thierry's system, and he's now made that available. So probably the next step is to allow Zeynep to begin working on this, unless you want us, Jeremy and the Americans, to sort of deal with the rough edges first. How do you think is the right way to proceed, Zeynep?
Well, I was just thinking after what you all said, I think we can go simultaneously on. While, I mean, what Theo said was correct. I think the challenge of overcoming legal issues is bigger and harder. So we could just try to adopt, take this code and adopt it here in Turkey and wherever internationally it can be adopted. And you guys can adopt and centralized US node. And then we could simultaneously, while we try to adapt this, you guys can work on how we can communicate these nodes.
Exactly.
I think that would be the best solution. And if we solve how we communicate these nodes, maybe after that, as a second phase, let's connect these and maybe use a common interface would be a next chapter, maybe.
Right. So I think there's two things that we'll want to work on longer term. One is the data sharing, and then the other is expanding the number of languages available. So what I'm wondering, and maybe this could be a follow-up question for Tirion if you don't know, is that given that you have it set up for multilingual, am I correctly assuming that there's a file somewhere when you set up a new language, that there's a file somewhere that has those translations? And after we set up a new language, maybe we could just share that file with somebody else so they could add that language into their deployment?
You see my screen there?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So you see, by default, if I click on here, I have the pages.
Okay.
So the different pages of the site. If I click on a page, I will edit the French version.
Okay.
And if I click here, I will edit the English version.
Ah.
And it's like that for everything.
Now, does that suggest that there is a limitation to 2 languages, or could you have more?
No, you can add more.
Oh, is that a WordPress thing, or is that an add-in?
Yeah, it probably is an add-on, but okay. I don't know.
Okay.
It probably is an extension.
So we'll have to look into that. Maybe there's a way of exporting those translations or something.
You see, I don't have so many. It's
there it is. Yeah.
WPML translation.
Okay. We can look into that.
Great.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I agree with Zeynep. I think we could probably both play with this simultaneously. I mean, right now, all we're trying to do is see if we could even get it up and running. I think that's the first step. And so
Yeah.
there's no reason we couldn't both experiment with that.
Great.
Right,
So
but then,
So
this will be a
Well-
project that will be continuing. It'll be something that Thierry will be leading and collaborating with Zainab and probably some of the chapters in the US. Is this something that Ashley or Madison, what do you guys use for your websites, or do you just use Facebook? What do you think? Maybe we can sort of take a step back and hear about some of the other chapter activities and how that lines up.
We actually have our own domain, which is something we struggle with because trying to keep it updated, but we do sort of a niche thing where we don't, we depend on you guys for really like the whole structure of who submits for particular hands or whatever. Our website really is just about sort of our specialty things that we're doing. And we did medical gear when the virus first came out. So we put a thing on there, like if you're in this area and you need help, that type of thing. So it's very local to us. I think it was great as a downstream user. I think it would be really cool. But I don't imagine we would try to, adopt it in any way, like to try to, we love what you guys are doing. We're working on our sort of thing.
Great. That's great feedback. And maybe passing over to Madison.
Yeah, so for our chapter, actually most of our cases we've gotten from recipients just directly emailing us. And I think that's because our information is on, the big map of all the chapters. But we did, I actually went through e-NABLE Web Central for our most recent case. So as of now, I think it's just me and maybe one other volunteer that, just kind of searches for cases, and then I just apply on behalf of my whole chapter. So if we have, volunteers that could, fabricate, assemble, and all that stuff, like I'm capable of all of them, but I just kind of, say that we also have we have other volunteers, not just me that's applying. I will note that one of the, I wouldn't say issues, but with the recipient, we would go back and forth through the private messages, and it was kind of hard to keep track of the messages. And I think we ended up, I eventually got their email and phone number, and then we just kind of corresponded through there because it was just kind of easier. And, I feel like we had I had on my end too many notifications. So just that was just a little kind of user interface during the just the process of trying to get information from the user, because that kind of took some time, going back and forth of what colors, what's the design. So I really like the e-NABLE France user interface where it has the buttons of the sizing, the what kind of design you want, because I think if we had that, I think it would be much easier to kind of communicate with the recipient on what they want, rather than having to, have multiple one line sentence conversations until we kind of get a better, better idea of what they want. But I mean, in the end, it went well. We were able to make a Wonder Woman hand for a local 9-year-old. So it's, still works. We're still able to get cases, but that was only just kind of one of the few cases that our chapter have done using Central.
That's
So
great feedback. Thank you, Madison. That's very helpful.
Yeah, and it sounds like Thierry, you're also using, as part of your system, the volunteers are connecting directly with device users in their own emails outside of your system.
Once the matching is made, yes, they are they are in the open, and they on complex cases, I ask them to keep me in the loop by CCing me of the emails they exchange, but on a regular basis, no.
So
They-
this
they
is
just-
Right. So this system does not track a project once the match has been done.
No, but we have a number of tools that help us. For example, we have built this emailing tool. Nope. Nope. See, we have made this emailing tool that allows us to send a mass email to with a number of keywords to a population of users. So, and we have a we have a member of the board that whose task is to once every 2 months go around all the builds in progress to just to make sure everything is fine.
Okay.
Can I ask
so
a question, Thierry?
Yeah.
Once, just to know about the system, once the builder, the maker finishes a hand, they go through your system and check it's done so that you know it's completed. How does that work?
No, not yet. They send us an email.
And then you fill in.
And then I change the status, yeah.
Okay. And you don't have any system at place at the moment to keep the models or the data of the hands, the devices yet, right?
I do keep them on my computer because I request the maker to send them to me. But for storage size reason and storage price on our server online, we don't keep those files online.
Okay.
Just let me share again that screen.
Follow up with the question: what happens when the same recipient needs another hand and the volunteer and the maker is not no longer available? What happens then?
Let me show you. So I just logged in as an administrator. I load the map, and if I go to a work in progress, a project in progress, for example, this one, I can click on projet livré here and close the project. So it will make the dot go green, and the project will not be editable anymore. So it will be considered as finished. But we do not. We do not have a mechanism for the makers to say within the website we have finished this project. It probably will be a future evolution.
Yeah, okay. So if the same recipient needs another hand, so you manually send the file to the new maker if needed. Is that the case?
Yeah, but
okay.
it never happened. We have had a number of new second or third hand requests, but we never reused the previous files because the recipient's hands had changed in size, and his taste also has changed. So he doesn't want the same colors, he doesn't want the same decoration, and it's not the same size, and maybe it's not the same device. So I'm not sure there is a huge need for keeping the previous files, except for very complex devices where 3D modeling has been made, and when a complete creation has been made.
Okay, so but when the recipient needs another hand for some reason, does he or she apply again?
Yeah.
Or
it just requests a new device.
Okay, but they are registered as a recipient anyway, so they just log in and then request the request. Okay, cool, cool.
Great. So maybe this is a good moment. We've got about 10 minutes left to zoom out from specifically these tools. It does sound like something that to work in areas that have multiple chapters, there's some things that could be interesting to consider. You know, maybe a layer in between where you have, because with Tirion and e-NABLE France, it's one chapter for the whole region, the whole country. And same with Robotel, but it's different in the US. There's all these different chapters. So that would be something to consider for us. But maybe maybe it's a good moment to go around and see are there projects that anybody's working on that they want to share, or some challenges or new opportunities with their chapter? Maybe just open up the floor.
I can make an announcement, short one. I have an international workshop and a speech this Thursday, 16th of September, collaborating with the German e-NABLE, and German university is hosting this symposium. I think I shared it on Facebook with the Chapter Leaders site. It is open to registration, so I don't think you can register for the workshop anymore, but you can register for the roundtable and other panels if you want to join in. You're welcome. And we are working on other projects, but I'm not in liberty to share it yet.
Great. And do you have a link to that?
I think I do. No, I don't.
Okay. If you want to email me after, I can add it into the archive. So if anybody's interested, that'd be great. That's exciting. That's actually a really good question. Is there any other cross-chapter collaborations that anybody's doing?
Sorry, I didn't get the question. I was reading the chat. Sorry, my bad.
Are there any other chapters that you're working with, Thierry? Do you have any projects between chapters?
We've been in discussion with Scotland, but I don't think, I'm not in charge of that, and I don't think it went very far yet. But maybe in the future, I don't know. But guys, what I wanted to say is, you are, of course, all of you welcome to register on e-NABLE.fr and have a look at the website and explore by yourself.
Excellent, thank you.
Amazing. It's great work, Thierry. And thank you so much for sharing. I think that idea of having sort of a kit that's not tied to all of your personal information, that you can just be sort of exporting and sharing with people, is a wonderful model.
The next challenge will be to make it shareable.
Okay.
But it will be on your side, Ben and Jeremy.
Make it what?
Shareable.
Shareable. Yes, it seems to me actually there are three. This is a great place to be, but there are three tiers of sharing to explore. One has to do with the website itself. The other has to do with the sanitized data, and another has to do with the language translations. Those are each different tiers, but all of them are things that we want to architect in such a way that they can be augmented and then propagated out to the various clones. So we'll have to think about that, but it's a good thing to be able to think about now, thanks to your most excellent work and the feedback we'll be getting when Zeynep and Jeremy actually try to make it run.
Yeah.
Exciting stuff.
We do have a project that we now have our senior team. We have biomedical students in the University of South Carolina. We have one project that they're working on. We're calling it P2BI, which is prosthesis to body interface. And basically it's just developing techniques and devices that act as an intermediary between your body and the device. So we're looking at things that, hard mounting, sensor mounting, that type of stuff to really as a tool for the developers that are out in the community, so that they can take this and maybe have a more universal way of attaching and basically attaching, but also integrated with sensing.
That's terrific. Ashley, when the time is right, let's make sure that we can share the results of your work in the hub so that others can benefit from that.
Or at a chapter spotlight.
Or as a chapter spotlight, sure.
And actually, the whole point in that was to say that I'm trying to put it onto the hub sooner rather than later, because it's a year-long project. And what I think would be useful if we had anybody that had input to it for the students. I know they're going to have to do, it's their culmination project. So they have to do everything from, analytics, business stuff to, actually interviewing folks that deal with it. A lot of the kids already intern in, some working with a prosthesis of sorts. So they have some other stuff as well.
So this sounds like the kind of thing where we should set up a new space specifically for this, for the P2BI stuff on the hub. And I can help you with that if you want. And then all of any discussions could happen inside of there. You could share your work in there. It's kind of give you your own space to focus on that work if that would help.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. I know there's been some discussions recently about how we can connect the dots between not just chapters, but students and teachers working in different parts of this e-NABLE universe, and maybe even looking at some kind of hybrid style regional events. In terms of your collaborations with students, I know Tirion and Zainab mentioned in their chapter spotlights working with different universities. What would be, or maybe just, I guess what I'm trying to say is those relationships can be challenging, but trying to have some of those connections between schools, between chapters could be really interesting. If anybody has any ideas or thoughts to share about that.
I had to think about that. That's that's something we've done a lot. I mean, we collaborate with most of our local schools by doing STEAM type things, and then our university has really embraced us. I mean, we're part of them, and they're pretty much a part of us. They give us the senior designs, and we're looking to go from our biomed folks have been our big department, but we're actually trying to do across all of our departments, so mechanical, electrical, all, and integrate hopefully the engineers individually into a project. That's further down the road, but I mean, I have to think about that as far as like, we've had pretty good integration with our schools.
Sounds like you're doing great stuff, Ashley. I look forward to learning more about it and how it connects to these other schools and to other chapters. I suspect that may be a way we wrap our hands around this issue, is to just start making a social network map of what the linkages are from chapters to other chapters and to other institutions.
I could talk for another hour about that only. So.
Well, you should. Not this hour, but another hour.
Not this hour. We could just connect on this subject on how we communicate with educational partners only.
Oh, that would be helpful.
Cool.
Yeah.
Because I have good and bad experiences, and I have advantages, disadvantages. I have a lot of things to share.
So maybe as an add-on to that, the first Monday of every month, this is the second Monday, but the first Monday of every month we'll be doing an educators roundtable. We had a slow start. We did the first one this month, but the first Monday in October we'll be doing another one. And the idea is to bring students and educators. Some are going to be educational chapters, but some are just going to be students that have no affiliation necessarily to a chapter. And that might be a really great place to start having some of those conversations.
I'm not sure I'm available at the 1st of October, but can you just share an email so that
Yep.
I can check? Okay.
Yep, I'll invite you. And it's the first Monday of October, so it would be the 4th, October 4th. But I'll
My
send out
birthday.
an email. Great. All right, amazing.
Okay.
So thanks everybody for joining today. I know we're out of time. If there's any final thoughts that anybody wants to add in.
A giant step for Enable Kind, Thierry. Thank you.
Yeah, nice work, Terry.
Wonderful work. And I do keep an archive with the recording of the chat, some of the key topics, and a list of the chapters involved. So if everybody wants to, I have Thierry and Zainab's emails, but Madison and Ashley, if you want to add in your email in the chat really quick. And I assume that you're both on the hub already, so it's easy to find you guys.
Yes.
I'll add all that in the archive, and if anybody wants to follow up afterwards, they can.
Madison, and I think this is the first chapter spotlight chapter discussion you've come to. One of the things we do when we have the time is we just ask, so I want you to come back and let us know if there are things you think we collectively could do to help your individual activities. It's okay to just ask for help, but not at 1:02.
Gotcha. Thank you. It's good to know. I'll make sure I'm ready for something for the next meeting.
Good. Okay,
Great.
thank you, everybody.
And Madison, did you add your email?
Yes, I put it in the chat. Oh wait. Oh, sorry. I think I sent it to you by accident directly. Here,
That's
let
okay.
me.
It happens a lot. That's why I asked. I do that all the time.
You. I am putting it in the chat right now.
All right, super. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Two of us.
I had a feeling you'd wait it out. All right, I'm gonna, it's still recording, so I will catch you later.